All right, welcome back. This is Architectural Design Honors. I am your teacher, Mr. Shea. One of the things I want to get off the bat right away, make sure that it's understood, is Architectural Design Honors is an honors class, which means there are higher expectations for students. The pacing is faster than you might be used to with CPA classes, especially foundations classes. We get into more in depth knowledge on the subject of architecture and all these sub subjects. And you are responsible as the student for more independent work. There might be homework, reading, there might be background research they have to do for projects, things like that. One of the other biggest changes going forward in architectural design from foundations, one of the big changes from foundations to architectural design is that I no longer will accept work up until the end or the halfway point of the marking period. So missing work is not accepted after 2 weeks. Okay, so you have 2 weeks to hand it in. You're an honors student, you're in an honors class, you need to obey for that. Points will be taken off for late work. So the date that the project or assignment is due is the date it's due. If you turn it in a day late, 5 minutes late, whatever it is, points will be taken off for that. So make sure that you hand in your assignments on time. A big reason for this is a lot of times we will cover some stuff that we either doing in the homework reading or things like that in, say, a do now or something like that to incorporate it in our project. So if you're not doing that work on time and you're turning it in late and we're going over the stuff that you're supposed to be doing ahead of time in class, you're not going to be able to participate as well. It's going to affect your project. So, kind of a summary of this class. We're going to focus on principles of architectural design, concepts, and we'll use graphic tools that architects actually use to create drawings for buildings that we design. The emphasis for this course is placed on housing designs. So, we use floor plans, roof plans, elevations, interior and exterior, foundation plans, pretty much any type of plan that an architect's going to use, we will use in our projects to convey our design ideas. But we will be focused mostly on houses. Students will prepare working drawings, which including floor plans, elevations, sections, site plans, and project renderings using either AutoCAD, Revit, or other 3D modeling software. For the most part, we will use Revit, but we could use other design softwares as well. Also, different software to kind of create our presentations and things like that. We'll learn about sustainable, green, energy efficient design practices, things like that that are becoming the norm these days. And we're going to enhance your student awareness, various facets of architectural field, including construction technique, historical perspectives, landscape design, architectural styles, building codes, and client design considerations. So these are all basic things that go into designing houses. We break down the class by marking periods. So in marking period 1, we start with a quick project. We call it a tiny house project, where you're going to recreate a house step by step, and then you can make some changes to it once you get to the finished point. That's like the first week, first 2 weeks to kind of get you back out of the summer mode and into working again. Then we go and we start the lake house project, which is the remainder of the marking period. After that, we do a shore house project, a fictional lot down the shore that we design a house for. And there's a whole bunch of design considerations for both the family and the location that students have to deal with. In marking period 3, I'm going to try something a little different this year. I'm going to try us doing the TSA project. So TSA has two different types of architectural specific projects. One is an individual project that students will do where you create just a single architectural board that conveys your idea for whatever house design prompt they come up with for each different school year. And then the other one is just called an architecture project, where you spend a large amount of time doing the research on building codes, requirements, and things like that, and then create a project and a model for your project. So this is where we'll get into some actual physical model building. I know some students have been interested in asking me to do that. So this is that point that we're going to do that. So we'll build some models in marking period 3. And then in marking period 4, we're either going to continue with the model building or we may start another project and do an artist retreat house. I haven't totally flushed out what that's going to be yet, but kind of something like the artist owns an island and they want to have a place where they can live, they can create art, and then they can showcase that art. So you would be in charge of designing that for them. So for the lake house, we'll create floor plans, elevations, site plans, building sections, which are like if you cut the building in half vertically and then looked inside, kind of like you can do with a dollhouse. That's a good example of a building section, so you can see how the floors stack up on each other. We will do things like bubble diagrams, detailed plans of the living spaces, the sleeping spaces for the lake house. For the beach house, we will learn about partie, which is an artistic kind of term, kind of meaning like your grand idea that kind of runs through your whole project. We will talk about demolition plans. If you have to remove a house or part of a house from a site, how you would do that, how you would communicate that. We'll talk about foundation plans, doors and window schedules. So for every door and every window that goes into the building, you have to tag it. You have to know exactly which type it's going to be. Like, for example, with the door, if there's a window in the door, if there's a lock on the door, what kind of hardware that goes on it, what kind of color, what kind of material, all those different things have to be considered. And then we'll learn about stairs as well and how they can be incorporated artistically and functionally inside your design. This goes on top of all the other things that we've just learned with the lake house. So you're going to have all those designs, all those drawings, and then we're adding these on top of it as well. Like I mentioned earlier, Technology Student Association has two projects: the CAD 2D architecture, which is individual. It's a yearly prompt that's given in January. And then the best design in our class, we will submit to the statewide conference for TSA. Each student will do that individually. You'll each produce a single design board with all of your drawings on it, and the best one will be submitted end of the market period. The architecture design project is a group project. It's based on a yearly prompt, which is given in the fall. And for that, you do drawings, you do model, you do research with the town that you're building in. And when you go to TSA, you're going to do an in-person presentation. So these are two examples of some really good projects that were done in 2024. So they were submitted. They were at the state competition for TSA for that. And I have full confidence that we can all create models that will rival these by the time we get to that in the third marking period. Fourth marking period. So fourth marking period, we will get into that artist island retreat. So we'll talk more about specifications. So just like with doors and windows, how you got to specify all that stuff. Pretty much every room that you think about that you have in your building needs to have specifications. Like, what is on the floor? Is it carpet? Is it tile? Is it wood? Is it vinyl? Is it painted? Is it rough? Is it shiny? What color is it? What kind of texture does it have? Does it have patterns on it? That stuff needs to be decided. What color of paint on the walls? Again, the texture. Is there molding? Is there not molding? What type of ceiling is there? Gypsum wall board like we have in most of our houses, or is it kind of a drop ceiling like we have here at school? So there's all those different things that go into it. You really need to think about the really tiny details. Also, if we have time, we'll get into estimating building costs. So talking about how much to actually build these buildings. We'll talk about electrical plans, plumbing plans, climate control. So that's your HVAC, your heating, your cooling, all of that, all of those things we will discuss. All right. Then there are options that you can do afterwards. Okay. So like I mentioned, there's the Technology Student Association. If after taking this class, you've really enjoyed it, you want to continue to do architecture stuff, there aren't any more architectural classes. So you could do things like this, and I'd certainly be willing to advise you on them if you had any questions or needed feedback or anything like that. But I would suggest if you're into architecture, look into a lot of these and even search for some on your own. There's probably good ways that you can win scholarships. You could win other types of money and prizes. And it's only going to look better on your transcript for college that you've participated in these. If you're going to be a senior next year or coming up, you do have the option to take an independent study where you can choose either like a bunch of these different competitions, and you can just create designs for them and submit them. So that would kind of be something you would work on your own, and we would consult from time to time on your designs and make sure everything is hitting the mark and getting submitted on time. There will be some summer assignments. There's going to be a class survey. There's going to be an interest survey that you can take after you watch this video, it's posted on Google Classroom now, but there will also be a couple other assignments for you to do as well. In the past, I've done the home measuring activity. I believe most of you have done that in Foundations already. So if you already did that, you don't need to do it. Then there's a great book, 101 Things I Learned in Architecture School. Obviously, you haven't been to architecture school yet, so to kind of read through this and see them and know them is a good thing to do. It's really quick. It's literally 101 pages long, and it's just like little snippets of things. It's not a really tough read or anything like that. You can breeze through it pretty quickly, I would say. Then there'll be 2 chapter readings: architectural styles and basic house design, to kind of get us into the mode of thinking architecturally, so that when we come in and we start in that first week, we can review a couple of these things, talk about them, talk about the ideas behind them, and then jump right into our first project. All right, that's it for architectural design. If you need to get in touch with me for any reason, that's my email right there, tshay@westex.org. Also, if you want more information on this class and some of the projects that we do, you can visit my website. The link is right there. I don't think it's been updated for the TSA third marking period project, and the island retreat isn't on there, but you can check out the lake house and the shore house projects if you're interested in those. I'm excited that there's so many of you in this class. I look forward to doing some great things architecturally with all of you and seeing what kind of projects you come up with. I'll see you in September.